So Alex King from Beyond the Void horror movie podcast wrote me up and was like, "Hey man, you gotta watch this movie Spell. It's one of my favorite movies of the year." And I was like, "Really?" Because I was gonna skip that shit. I didn't think that looked good. I didn't watch a trailer. I just saw the poster and I saw some of the, you know, synopsis, and I was just like, I don't know. That just doesn't seem like it's gonna be for me. But I checked it out on his recommendation. And then after I watched it, I wrote him up and was like, "Hey, man," because he was like going off like, "Hey, people aren't liking this movie, and I think it's bullshit. I think this is really damn good, this and that." And I was like, "Okay." So he was like, "Come on, man, what'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you think?" And I wrote him back and was like, honestly, I feel like I'm kind of in the between you guys. Like, I definitely don't think it's like the 4 that people are giving it on an IMDb or something, but I definitely don't think it's like the 8 or 9 that he is more on the line of. I'm somewhere in like the middle of that. I don't really give ratings, but I'm just kind of lukewarm on this film. Now, this film is about a family who is traveling by plane, his own private plane. He's got a lot of money, independently wealthy, and they have a plane incident. And when he wakes up, he is being tended to and cared by, or cared for by this woman and her husband, and she is not exactly there for his best interests. And it plays into like voodoo or hoodoo or I don't know what to call this. Black magic. Is that what you want to go for? And so, of course, the film that this is going to get compared to or likened to more than anything by far, for obvious reasons, is the movie Misery. Now, Misery is one of the best movies I've ever watched. It's a flawless film that I just could never recommend higher to people who haven't seen it. It's got some of the best performances. Kathy Bates, obviously, being the best of the best. It's one of the best performances ever. It's up there with a Hannibal Lecter. So this film has airs of that. It's also got black voodoo, black magic kind of things going on here with like with this like, aren't they called those like kabuki dolls? Like in like Trilogy of Terror or something. There's something like that. Now this one doesn't come to life. It's more of like a voodoo doll. But that plays a role in this film. And overall, I think what happened now, Alex was telling me that this movie originally was like 3 hours and like 40 minutes or something insane. And they, edited it all down to an hour and 30 or an hour and 40 or whatever it was. That makes sense to me because this film does feel disjointed. This film does feel like it's missing a lot for me. That's one of my complaints. And when he said that, when I was texting him about it, I was like, I don't know, man. There's things missing for me. Like, this main character and his relationship with his family, I feel starts pretty strong in the opening. And I would have liked to explore that more. And I would have liked to have a little bit more focus on them. And I would have liked to have a little bit more focus on what he's dealing with this family that's kind of holding him hostage. And I just feel like that's not properly explored to emotionally resonate and care for the plight of the character throughout. Now, it's fine. I definitely, as I said, I don't think it's trash like a lot of people are saying. I think it's watchable. I enjoyed myself enough that I was like, all right. I figured with Alex loving it, there's no way I'm gonna hate it. I would be shocked if he was like, dude, I love something, and I went and I straight up could not stand the film. Like if I could not see what he was talking about and being like, dude, what drugs are you on? This movie's terrible. I just don't see that happening. But him and I disagree a good amount. We were actually getting into it tonight, where he was like, "Oh, this and that." He was going after certain movies that I loved, and I was like, "Fuck you," you know. So we definitely don't see eye to eye all the time. But I'm not. I don't think I've ever been like, "Oh, it's a 1 for me," and he's like, "Oh, it's a 10 for me." Just in our friendship, I've never seen that. So with this one, I do feel like I'm going to be probably high compared to most. I think because the film feels cheap and it feels derivative of Misery without the emotional resonance that you're going to get in a Paul Sheldon or an Annie Wilkes. This woman is by no means Annie Wilkes, and our main character here is by no means Paul Sheldon. So when you're trying to make a movie that is so similar to literally one of the greatest films ever made, in my personal opinion, you're gonna get a lot of guff for it unless it kills, unless it's really damn good. And the film also feels fairly cheap and not very well shot, so I think that also hurts the film. But the characters are likable enough and the story plays out well enough that I was like, okay, at least I'm invested enough to get me through it. I didn't want to shut the thing off, which has happened a lot lately. I should make a video of just all the films I've shut off lately. I'll watch 20, 30 minutes and be like, fuck it, I'm out. I'm out. I've done that with a decent amount. So if you haven't seen me review something that's come out recently yet, it's because I shut it off. You know? So maybe I'll make a list and put it on like Instagram. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram, do so. You know, Sinister Cinema Reviews. Just find me on there. I kind of talk about everything I watch for the most part on there, even if I don't finish it. But anyway, I never promote my shit like that. But, you know, I had to right there. But yeah, it's okay. It's nothing to rush to. Alex says different. So if you want to check out Alex and Beyond the Void, maybe you watch this movie and you're like, I agree with Alex. He's awesome. Then go check out his podcast. Maybe you'll be a little more in line with him on his opinions. His bullshit wrong opinions. Fuck you. Just kidding, Alex. Anyway, yeah, let me know if you watch it. Adios.